My dear students, how are you? I hope you are well. Today, you have received a news that is applicable for second-year students and those who are going to appear at the HSC exam. But now it has been declared that their exams will not be held, and the result will depend on their previous JSC result and SSC result. But dear students, especially students who are in new second year, be cautious of your studies now, because you should never be reluctant in studies and you must appear at the exam. And I also suggest those who are going to get an automatic result should also not be reluctant in studies, because after all, I think in admission tests they will be tested and knowledge is always necessary. However, dear students, now I am going to discuss about transformation of sentences. We will transform one sentence into another form. You know, sentences structurally sentences are of three types, that is simple sentence, complex sentence and compound sentence. You know what is simple sentence? Simple. Simply we think that this is a simple sentence which is simple, but how is it simple? Actually, a simple sentence is a sentence of a single clause. A sentence of a single clause is called a simple sentence. So what is clause? Clause is a structure, we know. A clause consists of a subject and a finite verb. So if any structure has a subject and a finite verb, this is called a clause. And in a sentence, you may have many other things, but in order to count the sentence, we have to know the finite verbs. Finite verbs are very, very necessary here, and we have to know what is finite verb. Finite verb is that verb which changes according to tense and person or subject. So the verb which depends on subject and tense is called a finite verb, and the verb which does not depend on subject and tense, that verb is non-finite verb. However, we will learn gradually these things. Firstly, I am going to write a sentence. You see a sentence. I am showing you a sentence. You get this sentence on the screen. Leaving the warm joy of my soft bed, I got up early in the morning of winter, only to walk in the foggy air and see the smiling face of crimson roses. This is a sentence. What type of sentence? This is a question. Another sentence is, if you help me, I will be blessed. Another sentence is, overcome or repent. So there are three sentences. The first one is, leaving the warm joy of my soft bed, I got up early in the morning of winter, only to walk in the foggy air and see the smiling face of crimson roses. Notice this sentence. How many verbs are here? First verb is living. You see, living the warm joy. So the first verb is living. Another verb, got. I got up early in the morning. You see, got. Thereafter, you see another verb, to work in the foggy year. So infinitive walk. Another verb you see smiling face. And among these verbs, there are only one verb. There is only one verb which may be called finite verb, that is got. And what is the subject of this sentence? I. I got. So if we want to count the clause of this sentence, actually we get a single clause, that is I got. And for this reason, this sentence is called simple sentence. But apparently this is a large sentence. This is a large sentence and you can't believe that this sentence is a simple sentence. So we have to count only subject and finite verb. And other verbs, living is a present participle, to work is an infinitive verb, and another verb, and see the smiling face, see. See is also infinitive without to, because there are two infinitives, to walk in the foggy air and to see the smiling face. So as and has joined these two phrases, two common thing, so two has been excluded here, eliminated here. And that is why this is an infinitive verb to see the smiling face. Here to is omitted. Okay. So in this way these verbs are non-finite verbs. Non-finite why? Because they don't change according to tense. Living, to work, to see, all these things are always same in all sentences. So this is simple. Another is complex sentence. Complex sentence, here you get the example, if you help me, I will be blessed. I am going to write this sentence here also. If you help me, I will be blessed. Here, if you help me, you subject, help finite verb. So there is a clause. Another is I will be blessed. I subject, will be blessed is the verb, finite verb. This is in future tense, that is why we see will. This is in present tense, that is why there is only base form of verb. In this way, finite verbs are just dependent on tense, and it is also dependent on subject. It may change according to subject. How? Suppose we say you are, but he is. In this way, be verb changes. And if there is third person singular, suppose he helps, it will not be correct that he helps. In this way, these verbs change. As they change, they are called finite. So we have to count the finite verbs, and we have to count the clauses. So structurally changing is very easy if you know finite verbs. So when we want to change any form of sentence, we have to just maintain that how much clauses or how many finite verbs are here, and what are the conjunctions. On the basis of conjunctions and on the basis of finite verbs, we name the sentences. And in this way, we call some sentences simple sentence, some complex sentences, and we call other sentences compound sentences. So, in a complex sentence, we have a conjunction too. What is that conjunction? If there is a conjunction, there are two clauses, obviously two clauses. So this is a complex sentence, and there are so many conjunctions in complex sentences such as who, which, that, if, so that, so dot dot that, when. You know, there are also because, as, since, etc. These conjunctions come here in the complex sentence. And why they come here? And what is the nature of a complex sentence? Actually, a complex sentence has two clauses and one clause depends on another clause. So, there is a dependent clause and there is an independent clause. Suppose consider this part. If you help me, if you help me, is this a complete statement? Certainly not. This is not a complete statement. If you help me, so what will happen next? There is answer, I will be blessed. I will be blessed. So I will be blessed, that ends the first portion, that gives the full meaning of this part. That is why this is independent clause or principal clause. I will be blessed. This is principal clause, and if you help me, this is subordinate clause. Okay, dear students, now in compound sentence we see what types of verbs are there. He was calling me, but I could not respond to him. Okay, this is a sentence. He was calling me, but I could not respond to him. He was calling me. This is a clause. You see, there is a subject and there is finite verb was calling. Okay, he was calling me. Is there any verb here? No. There is a conjunction at the middle of the sentence, but, and thereafter we get another clause, I could not respond to him. Here is also a subject and finite verb and other phrase related to it. So there are two clauses here, like the first one, second sentence, and there is a conjunction here. Is it a complex sentence? No, this is not a complex sentence. This is a compound sentence. Why compound sentence? Because here every clause is independent. That is, it is self-sufficient. It does not depend for its clear meaning on another part. He was calling me. Okay, the idea is clear. Someone was calling me. My friend was calling me. He was calling me. So what? So the expression is clear, the expression is full. That is why this is just independent clause. And there is another clause. I could not respond to him. I failed to respond to him. This is another clause. And what is the lack here? There is no lack, there is no shortcoming. This is also dependent. It does not depend on another clause for its full meaning. So, in this way, there are two independent clauses here. That is why this is called compound sentence. And this compound sentence usually has a conjunction here, and usually we get the conjunction at the middle of the sentence. But in complex sentence, The conjunctions come either at the initial stage, that is opening part, or at the middle. But in complex sentence, one clause must depend on another clause for its full meaning. I hope you have understood. And what happens in a simple sentence? In a simple sentence, that is quite clear that here it has full meaning. Full meaning like any part of a compound sentence. That is, I am a teacher. I am a teacher. This is a simple sentence. This is a simple sentence because the idea is clear. Here may be many other things like the first sentence I showed you, living the warm joy of my soft bed, etc., etc. That sentence was so much large, but the main thing is subject and finite verb. And if I add anything here, that will be extra part of the sentence, but that will not make it complex or compound. It will remain a simple sentence if I don't add any finite verb, any conjunction, or any subject. So if I don't add any subject, any more subject, or any conjunction and finite verb, it will remain a simple sentence. I am a teacher working in Rajshahi College. I am a teacher working in Rajshahi College. So this remains a simple sentence. Okay, I can add more other thing for 5 years. So this is prepositional phrase for 5 pleasures. I have added this, but there is no finite verb. Okay, I have added a verb, but that is present participle. And you know present participle, past participle and infinitive. Present participle, past participle and infinitive, they are called non-finite verbs because they don't change for any tense or person, and that is why working is a non-finite verb. So despite my adding working in Rajshahi College, it does not make it a complex or compound sentence. It remains a simple sentence. So simple sentence may be large in volume. It depends on your expression or what you want to say. Automatically you make a sentence simple, you make a sentence complex, and you make a sentence compound. It depends on situation. And our purpose of teaching you transformation is that you will know various forms. You will get various forms, and it will help you make different forms of sentences. Understand? Okay. So now you see our what do we need? What do we need actually to change a sentence here? When we want to make a complex sentence a simple sentence, what should we do? Or what do we need when we change a compound sentence into a complex or simple sentence? What are the basic things here? Actually, the thing is very simple. When you will change any compound or complex sentence into a simple sentence, you will only keep a single finite verb and a single subject. That is, only a subject and a finite verb will remain in a simple sentence. So, when you are changing sentences, you have to notice that your changed sentence fulfills the criteria. That is, when you change any simple sentence into a complex sentence, you must have two subjects and two finite verbs. Two subject, two finite verbs, and another thing is conjunction. So, if there is a conjunction and an independent clause and a dependent clause, then this sentence will be called complex sentence. And in complex sentence, what happens in in compound sentence? You have two independent, two independent clauses, two coordinating clauses. They are also called coordinating clause. Coordinating in this sense that they are self-sufficient and they don't need to depend on another. But they are two in number. That is why they are coordinating. So, dear students, we have to notice the verb forms. That is, whether we have changed the finite form, and when we will change into simple sentence, we will eliminate finite form and a conjunction, and when we change from simple to complex or compound, we will put any conjunction, suitable conjunction here. So, in compound sentence usually we have and, but, or. These are mainly the conjunction and, but, or, not only, but also. These are common conjunctions of compound sentence. And other conjunctions, you know, so many conjunctions: when, which, what, how, when, who, etc. If they are all used in a complex sentence. So, if you have the idea now about simple sentence and about complex and compound sentence, now we can go to change the sentences. How we can change the sentences? Suppose we are going to change from complex to simple sentence. Dear students, notice the screen. In the complex sentence, usually you get such conjunctions as since, as, because, when. If you find them and if you want to change it into a simple sentence, you may need to use a present participle phrase. Present participle phrase. Or because of plus noun phrase. In this way, you can change since, as, because, when conjunctions. Okay, you will eliminate these conjunctions and you will use here present participle. Actually, present participle or noun phrase with because of. This is necessary actually. When there is conjunction in complex sentence like who is that, you have to use in simple sentence present participle or past participle or adjective. Present participle or past participle phrase or any adjective you may need. It depends on the quality or on the structure of the complex sentence. Okay. Then in this way, if you have when with definite time or season, you may use prepositional phrase with in, at, on. And conjunctions like though, although, if you find these conjunctions, you may use in spite of, despite, and gerundial noun phrase. Okay, and if there is if, we use actually by or without plus gerundial phrase. And if a sentence is with what, usually we use there a noun phrase. Now please come to change. Particularly now you see the question. I will solve this. When I gave him money, I gave him advice too. Notice on the screen, when I gave him money, I gave him advice too. I will change this sentence into a simple sentence. Okay, so what do I need? What is necessary actually for me to change it into a simple sentence? I will need only to keep a finite verb and a subject, and I will eliminate or change another finite verb and subject, and conjunction must be eliminated. In a simple sentence there will not be any conjunction. Okay, so when I gave him money, I gave him advice too. So how can we change now? Suppose I am going to see the verb. Both are gave verb. So I gave him. I must eliminate when sentence is necessary to be written. When I gave him money, I gave him advice too. Okay, so conjunction must be eliminated. I am going to change it into a simple sentence. So when is totally unnecessary. Now notice, I gave him money, I gave him advice. So I gave him two things. What are the two things? Money and advice. So I can say, firstly, I gave him both money and advice. This is how I can change. Okay, I can change it in another form, another way. That is, I gave him two things. So, besides money, I gave him advice. This is also true. Besides money, that is apart from money, I gave him advice. Besides money, I gave him advice. So, the main thing is subject is I, finite verb is gave. And that is the clause, a single clause. And the single clause is I gave him advice. There is no another clause here. Besides money is no clause. So there is a single clause and there is no question of conjunction. That is why this is a simple sentence. Besides money, I gave him advice. And I gave him both money and advice. Here you find subject and finite verb and nothing more to count for a sentence. That is why this is also a simple sentence and this is fully independent. I gave him both money and advice. So that is why these sentences are simple sentences and it bears the meaning of the first complex sentence. So you can change any way you like. Okay. You can also say, giving him money, I gave him advice too. Giving him money, but this is sometimes some types of gloss. I think this is better here. This is better here. Now come to the second sentence. When he took a piece of bread, he took a mango. When he took a piece of bread. He took a mango. This is a sentence you see, and what type of sentence? Certainly complex sentence. Why complex? This is a conjunction and this clause is dependent on another part. Why dependent? There is no clear meaning. When he took a piece of bread, we have a question. What happened then? What happened? He took a mango. That concludes. That is why this is a dependent clause, and that is a independent clause or principal clause, and this is called subordinate clause. So we have to change the subordinate clause. When he took a piece of bread, he took a mango. So taking a piece of bread, we can say this. We can easily eliminate when, and we can eliminate he, because we find he in two places, there and here. So taking, why taking? I am just changing it into present participle. Took, present form is take, and I am writing taking, that is present participle. What? Taking what? Taking a piece of bread. Taking a piece of bread. So that is why this is called a present participle phrase. Taking a piece of bread, he took a mango. So now this is complete and with full meaning. So this is called a simple sentence. You may also change this in another way. What is that? You see, the person took two things. One is bread, another is mango. And if it is ripe mango, he can easily take the mango with bread. So he can take these two food at the same time by mixing them. So you could also say he took a piece of bread with a mango. I think you are clear. I have kept the first finite verb intact. He took a piece of bread, and how did he take? With a mango. So this is clear. In this way, this sentence has been changed into a simple sentence. Understand? So, dear students, rules are not always the same. It may change, and rules are no rules if they lack anything. You will just change keeping the meaning intact. You will maintain the meaning, and this is because this changing is called transformation. We have to keep the meaning the same. Next sentence, when he saw me, he acted crazy. When he saw me, he acted crazy. You have no difficulty to understand that this is a simple sentence. When he saw me, what happened? He acted crazy. This is the answer. So this is a simple sentence. This is subordinate clause and that is principal clause. And now I will change this. So how can I change this? This action is the first action and second action is acted crazy. He acted crazy. That is why I can change this into a present participle. Present participle. So I can say, seeing me. I will eliminate when. I will eliminate he only because there are two he's. You see, he and he. That is why I have eliminated these two words. Now, saw. And when I am going to make a present participle, I will go to the base form see, seeing. This is the present participle. Seeing me. Okay. Then I have the subject he. And notice if there is any name, any particular name, suppose when Rafik, say Rafik, there is Rafik. When Rafik saw me, he acted crazy. So what will you do? Here you will exclude Rafik because Rafik and he are the same person. So you need not write Rafik at the very beginning. You will write just here, seeing me, Rafik acted crazy. Okay. So here, suppose there was subject Rafik. Now I am writing the name again. Seeing me, Rafik acted crazy. Or if there were two he, I would write here, seeing me, he acted crazy. Understand? Next, actually, you know, when is more used in complex sentences, and there are so many types of when here. That is why I am writing this in detail, and we will take time to finish this. Today we will see some more examples with when. You say, you see on the screen, when the police arrived, the crowd dispersed. When the police arrived, the crowd dispersed. Here the subject is different, the verb is different, both are different. And in this case, it is better to use any prepositional phrase. Any prepositional phrase will be better here. When the police arrived. When the police arrived, the crowd dispersed. I think I need a more black pen if you have any. Thank you. When the police arrived, you see the subjects are different. The police and the next subject is the crowd. Not only that, verbs are also different, arrived and dispersed. So it is better to use any prepositional phrase here. Suppose if we change this in this way, after the arrival. Arrival why? Arrival because it derives from verb arrived. Arrive is verb and arrival is noun. So in this way we are changing the verb form into noun form. And before that I have used a preposition after. After the arrival, who arrived? The police. We cannot eliminate police here. Why can't we eliminate police? Because if we eliminate here, we will not find him in my next part. So it will be totally lost. That is why I must keep this subject here. Otherwise it will be lost. So the meaning will be unclear and I will not be able to come back here again. After the arrival of the police. So the meaning of first part is totally the same. After the arrival of the police, the crowd dispersed. I will keep the next part intact. I have not changed this. I can use a comma here, but that is not totally compulsory. The crowd dispersed. After the arrival of the police, the crowd dispersed. This is one way. You can use also present participle with perfect form here to change this form. You could also use this sentence in this way. The police having arrived. The police having arrived, what happened? The crowd dispersed. The police having arrived, the crowd dispersed. This has the same meaning. You can choose. You can choose which one is better for you. In this way, you can also change the next sentence, the same structure. When the sun set, the mountain disappeared. When the sun set or when the sun had set, the mountain disappeared. It will have the same meaning. There is also two different subjects. The first subject is the sun and the next subject is the mountain. The first finite verb is set, that is to go down. The sun went down. The sunset means the sun went down. And the mountain disappeared. That is, the mountain could not be seen. However, as the subjects are different and verbs are different, it is better to use prepositional phrase. So I can change this subject into a noun form. Set as not subject, I can change the verb set. What is the noun of set? Set. They are the same in spelling. So after sunset, here set is noun, that is not verb. Here set is verb, this is noun. After sunset, so sun is noun adjective. This sun is actually here noun adjective, or this is acting like an adjective or modifier, pre-modifier of set. After sunset, what happened after sunset? After sunset, the mountain disappeared. After sunset, the mountain disappeared. This is one form. Another thing is, we can change in the same way as we changed in our previous sentence. That is, the sun having set, the mountain disappeared. Only present participle will not do here because you will not have meaning. The sun setting, the mountain disappeared. Is this meaningful? No. Certainly this is not meaningful. That is why we have changed this into perfect participle. We have used present participle but with perfect tense. Having set, the sun having set, the mountain disappeared. And the smart one is the first sentence, after sunset, the mountain disappeared. Okay, our next example of when is, when it was evening, he was returning home. When it was evening, when it was evening, he was returning home. He was returning home. So I have mentioned you in our structure that if we have when with a particular time, there is when, and if there is definite time or particular time, we can change this part with a preposition. We can use any preposition in, at, or something like that. You know, usually we use in for greater place, for greater time, but for morning, for evening, we use in. Evening, it was evening. So in the evening, we can say in the evening. But at day, at night, in case of night and day, we can use at. In this way, we have to use suitable preposition. So in the evening, he was returning home. There is no change in the next part. This is the same. He was returning home. So in this way, when you have any particular time with when, you have to use any preposition. So dear students, In our next class, we will discuss other conjunctions in complex sentences, and it will take a day more here. And you see, we have to know in detail, and we have to go at the depth of any subject. And if you know more and more, it will be easier for you to change any sentence. So in our next class, we will see again. Thank you very much.